Jai Hind, Saraswati Sisukunj Vagwala Borsar, English Medium, Standard 5th, Subject EVS, Chapter number 8, Experiments with Water. So let's start this video with pre-task. What we learned in first video? Definition, which was so important, right? First definition was about soluble substances. A substance that dissolve in water. A substance that dissolve in water is called soluble substance. Second one was insoluble substance, right? If you remember, a substance that does not dissolve in water. Substance that does not dissolve in water is called insoluble substance. So the difference between soluble and insoluble was does not and a substance that dissolve, right? In insoluble, that will be does not, right? So it will be easy to remember. Okay, next, what was that? Solution. What is solution? It can be asked in question also. It can be asked as definition, that solution, right? Definition of solution. So what is solution? A liquid with another substance dissolve in it. A liquid with another substance dissolve in it. Okay, now next definition was solute. A substance that dissolve in liquid, that is called solute. A substance that dissolve in liquid, that substance, that material, the material that is getting dissolved in the liquid, that material is called solute, right? And solvent, a liquid in which solute is dissolved. A liquid in which solute is dissolved is called solvent. Solvent is a liquid in which solute is dissolved, right? I give you example that water and salt. So water is a solvent and salt is a solute, because we are adding salt in the water, and that is the liquid in which that salt, which is solute, is dissolved, right? Okay, and that forms a solution. We learned these things, and one more important thing we learned, that solution is always a liquid, right? This was all about substance that dissolve in water and does not dissolve in water, right? Let me tell you a story of Aisha. Aisha was waiting for a dinner. Today, Ammi was making her favorite food, that is puri and spicy potatoes. Aisha watched that her mother rolled out the puri and put it in the hot oil. She saw that at first, when mother kept that puri inside the hot oil, at first time it sank inside the oil, and when it puffed up, right, it came up and started floating on the oil. What happens? You also observe when your mother is making puri, right? When she adds that puri, which is rolled up, she adds that puri inside the hot oil, it sank inside and then it puffed up, right? It puffed up. Puffed means like this. It looks like this, right? It puffed up and start floating on the oil, right? It float on the oil. Some puri which did not puffed up, it did not sank. Some puri was there which did not puffed up, it did not sank. After watching this, Aisha took some duft and she kept it inside the bowl of water, so it sank inside. So why this happened? Something sink inside the water and some things float on the water, right? Two things, right? Sink inside and float on the surface of water, right? You have seen boats which float on the ocean. You have seen, right? Boats, heavy boats, large boats are floating on the ocean. And many times you have seen that if you are adding a pin or a stone inside the water, it sink inside the water. So why this happen? Or that sea experiment. So let's do experiment for sink and float. For that you require this kind of box. If you have, you can use a big bucket also, right? Then pour water. Much water you require, right? Don't pour it half. Just pour it up to the surface if it is possible, right? Like here, you can see. Okay, now one by one I will add few things inside, right? And we'll observe that it sink or float. Now observe carefully what happens. Let me remind you that things which are heavier than water will sink inside. Things which are heavier than water will sink inside the water. Okay, I have this first thing. This is a pin, right? You are able to see pin. Okay, so I am keeping it inside. you can see it sink inside the water, right? Okay. Second, I have stapler pin made up of metal. Here you can see it is so small, stapler pin. Okay, so I am keeping it inside the water, so it sink inside the water. I have a chalk stick, right? I am keeping it. Okay, it also sink inside the water. Last thing, I have a small piece of stone. I am keeping it inside the water, right? So these things are heavier than water, so it sink inside the water. These things, chalk, pin, stapler pin and stone, are heavier than water, so they sink inside the water. As we have seen that we have added many things inside the water, right? And that all thing get sink inside. The reason is the things sink inside the water because the things are heavier than water. The things are heavier than water. So water cannot hold it up. Water cannot hold it up. That is why it sink inside. Do you understand? Right? Okay. So now the question is, why things float on the water? I think now you have idea, right? Why things float on the water? For that, see experiment. Before that, you need to remember that things which are lighter than water will float on the surface, right? Things which are lighter than water will float. So first I have here a leaf, right? You are able to see leaf? Okay, so I am keeping this leaf inside the water. Now see what happens? It float, right? Okay, second I have piece of a paper, so I am keeping it inside. You can see it also float, right? Let me take that both out. Now here, let me keep a small wooden piece inside the water and observe. Okay, so it float in the water, you can see it floats, right? Here, okay, let me take it out. Okay, now I am keeping a pen cap inside the water. It is made up of plastic, see here. Okay, so it also float inside the water. So these things, right? Pen cap, wood, leaf and piece of paper. These things are lighter than water. That's why these things float on the water, right? Okay. So you have seen the things that we used in this experiment, right? It float on the water. It means that are lighter than the water. Those things are lighter than water. So it float on the surface of water, right? You understand? Okay. So look now. Lighter and heavier, there are two words. In these two words we can understand in a different way. There is a other word, density. There is a other word, density. For that we need to understand this figure. See, these are two, like just two substances. Just imagine that these are two substances, right? And this one is more dense, we can say. This one is more dense. Look here, right? This substance is more dense. It has more particle in a less space. It has more particle in a less space. And this substance, the density of this substance is less than this. In compared to this substance density is less. Now if I'll give name that this is your solid, this is your liquid and this is your gas. So you will understand now what I am talking about density, right? In solid substance particles are together, so it is more dense, right? In liquid, particles are little bit far away from each other, so density of liquid is little bit less. And in gas, particles are so far from each other. Look, this concept you have already studied, but here we are trying to find out why things sink and why things float. So in liquid also and in solid also, in solid different substances have different density. Like paper's weight is not similar as the piece of a wood. The piece of a wood's weight is not similar with the small pin, right? Pin is heavier than wood and wood is more heavier than a piece of a paper, right? So in the same size, it looks like a same size and same shape, but then also the density of all these three substances are different. And that is why the behavior of this all three substances will be different with water. Some will sink and some will float. I hope you understand that what I am trying to deliver to you, right? So let's go with evaporation. Maybe you are familiar with this word, right? This word is connected with water cycle, right? Okay, so this evaporation, this experiment you can do at your home, but during the period of a sunlight, right? When the sun is available, when the sun is, means when you are able to see sun in the sky at that time. On a sunny day, you can do this experiment, right? So you have to take a plate, add water, keep that plate in the morning on your terrace or at some place which receives sunlight, right? Keep it for a day long. Then at the evening, try to find out that the condition of that plate, right? Water is the same, the amount of water is the same which you kept inside the inside that plate, right? It will be different. Why? Because due to the sun's heat, that water which was in the plate get evaporates. The water changes into water vapor, and that is known as evaporation. So see definition here. So when water changes into water vapor is called evaporation, or you can write on heating, water changes into water vapor is called evaporation, right? Without heating, water will not going to change into water vapor, right? Just from the heat, it can be changed from water to water vapor, right? So just take a look of this. So let's start exercise of this today's topic. First one, write true and false. Read first statement. On cooling, water changes to water vapor, right? What we learned on heating, right? When you are keeping water under the sunlight, right? Then it changes into water vapor. So statement will be false. Okay, see next one. Oil dissolves in water. Oil dissolves in water. You did experiment. Did you try today? Check it out. But oil does not dissolve in water. So statement will be false. Next one. Oil is lighter than water. Oil is lighter than water. So statement will be false. Oil is heavier than water, right? Next one. See here. Leaf float on water. Leaf float on water. So yes, leaf is lighter than water. So it will float. So it will be true. Okay. See next one. Fill in the blanks here. First one. Clothes dry blank on sunny day. Clothes dry blank on sunny day. Right? Means clothes dry faster on sunny day. See next one. On blank, water changes to water vapor. On blank means on heating, right? Answer will be heating. You see next one, third number. Things that are blank, then water float on the water. Means there is comparison of density, right? Which one is heavier, which one is lighter. So things which are lighter, that will only float. So answer will be lighter. Okay, fourth one, things that are blank then water sink in water. Things that are blank means heavier or lighter. So which is heavier, that will sink inside. So answer will be heavier. Just take a look. Okay, so let's go with next question. That is answer the following question. First one, which things sink in water? Do you remember which things sink in water? So things which are heavier than water that will be sink in water. Things that are heavier than water, things which are heavier, right? So let's see answer. Your answer is things that are heavier than water sink in water, right? Next question is similar. See here, which things float on water? Which things float on water? So things that are lighter than water float on water, right? Which is lighter than liquid, it will be float, right? So C answer. Here, things that are lighter than water float on water, right? See your next question. What is evaporation? What is evaporation? So when water changes into water vapor, or we can write on heating, water changes into water vapor, that is called evaporation, right? But when you will heat, then only water will change. So in general, we can write when water changes into water vapor is called evaporation. So let's write it. Answer is, see here, when water changes to water vapor is called evaporation, right? When water changes to water vapor is called evaporation, right? So next question is, write example of things which float on water. So which things float on water which is lighter than water, right? So we can say wood, piece of a paper, plastic, glass, petrol, right? So these things float on water. So let's see answer. So your answer is wood, plastic, glass, leaf, etc. You can write, right, by your own self. Okay, next one is here. Write example of things which sink in water. So we can say pin, stone, pebbles, right, nail, so iron rod, right, coin. Many things are there which sink inside the water. So let's see answer. Answer is coin, pin, stone, etc. You can write, you can add by yourself, right? So just take a look of all answers.